Mistake number 6 is throwing caution to the wind and going crazy in college. And I'll tell you guys this, if there's one time in my entire life I could take back, it's first semester, freshman year of college. I did some things that I have to live with for the rest of my life. If I could go back in a time capsule, that's the only time. That's really the only time in my whole life I would go back. So I will promise you that that is not the way to life. I think some of you guys just had a seminar on smart partying. I love it. Your high school and your faculty and your staff, they look after you and they want you to see you succeed. But I'll tell you, throwing caution off to the wind, I've never spoken to anyone that says, you know what, I went crazy for my 4 years and I'm so glad I did. Never. And I've known thousands of college students. I've never known one. But I've known a whole lot that have said, if I could just get that year back of my life. If I could just go back and. So pay attention to those, okay? Pay attention. I did whatever I wanted to, and that's usually not a great recipe for life. Feelings are great friends, but terrible masters. Doing whatever you want to do, throwing caution is, I think our feelings are great indicators. They're signposts. But if you start to listen to them and let them rule your life, that's usually not the way to a full life. And doing whatever you feel like is actually immaturity. That's what little kids do, right? They want to do what they want to do, when they want to do it right now. And immaturity will rob you of your freedom next year, of your independence. Because don't forget, guys, in a couple months, most of you, the last night before you leave for college, you're going to be sleeping at probably your family's house or under their rules, under their household, having to come in at whenever your curfew is. And then the next morning, you drive to college, they drop you off, and then all of a sudden, you can do whatever you want. It's the weirdest thing. It's like 24 hours, all of a sudden, it's like, hey, good luck, do whatever you want, And for some people, that's great. For a lot of other people, it can be destructive. So my hope for you is you would know who you are, and you wouldn't just do whatever you want. That's mistake number 6. All right, number 7. Where are we? Okay. All right, this is an important one. Number 7, the biggest mistake, jumping into what is known as the hookup culture, okay? Now, all right. Now, if I was giving this talk to middle school folks about high school, I don't know that they'd be able to handle it, okay? You guys are about to graduate. Most of you are 17, 18. You can handle it, okay? So for the next 2 minutes, I want you to be with, are you guys up for that, okay? Let's be mature adults. Let's talk about it. We're going to talk about sex, okay? I know, it's okay. Shh. Jumping into the hookup culture robs you of what can be a very beautiful part of college, which is dating, which is seeing someone that you're maybe interested in and getting to know them. Okay, so jumping into that culture of kind of doing that, and again, I've never ever talked to anyone, and all the data, all the surveys would always say, anybody who's done this for a while have just said, gosh, I feel terrible. Not just about themselves, but just they're empty. It doesn't come to anything. It's like, I just feel like I've given myself away to people over and over and over again, and I have nothing to show for it. Okay, so don't jump into that. Dating and finding out who you are and actually what you want is a huge, important part of college. All right, there's 2 things that the culture, especially the college culture, is going to tell you that isn't true, right? Number 1, that sex is purely physical, right? Maybe you guys have even heard that. Sex is only physical. Just, hey, it's just a physical act, we do whatever. And the second thing that college culture is going to tell you is, guess what? It's no big deal. It's no big deal. Now, you guys are really smart, and I know if you're thinking about it, you know that once you think about these 2 things, they're actually not true, right? Because one, all of us have known a couple that have been having sex, and they break up, and you've told your friend, the worst thing you would ever do is to go back to that person. He is the worst person for you. She's the worst person for you. Don't go back to that person. And then what do? It's like a tractor beam, right? They go right back to that person. It's like, oh, why'd you call him again? Why'd you text him? Why'd you text her again? What are you doing? And then they get together again. Then they break up again. And then they get back together again. Okay, they break up again. Why is that? It's terrible, right? We all know it. Some of you guys are like, it's actually me. I'm that person. Sorry. Okay, but this is why. You ready? Sex is not just physical. Sex is emotional. Okay? There's emotional bonds that are formed. It's not just emotional. It's also spiritual. There's a spiritual bond that are formed. It's not just spiritual. It's also, the data would tell us, it's chemical. Do you know, a study came out 2 years ago that said the same thing happens when two people have sex that happens between a mom and her newborn baby, bonding-wise. That's the hormones that are released. Do you know that? That's why the people are like, yeah, Beck, I love you. You know, I think you're awful. You're awful to me, but I love you. You're awful for me and to me, right? So if you think about it, you know. And this is true too. If sex is only physical, listen to this. Our own legal system won't let us, will show us and prove to us that sex is not just physical. If sex was only physical, there would be no charge called rape. You know, there's a special charge called rape, not just battery or assault, because we know that it's something different. We know that that's something different. It's not just physical. So pay attention to it. It's something really, it's kind of a wondrous thing. It's kind of a miraculous thing. The second part is, it's no big deal, right? We say that, but then if you took do you guys have advertising as a class or marketing, anything like that? In part of your business class, maybe? You know that one of the first things you're going to learn in marketing class, at least when you go to college, is sex sells. Right? We know this. Sex sells. You're like a bag of Doritos. It's like, why are you using sex to sell Doritos? Those don't have a lot to do with each other, right? But sex sells. So we know. We're trying to say it's no big deal, but our culture, we are obsessed with it, right? We were thinking about sex. We use it all the time. So anyway, just know that those are lies coming at you from our college culture. So, all right, enough. Let's see if there's anything. All right, last thing on this. Then we just have a couple more. I've counseled a lot of couples, been a part of a lot of weddings, over 60, okay? And I know I don't look that old. I'm a little older than I look, I hope. I got gray hair coming in. And I've never had one of those couples, or any of the other couples I've known that haven't counseled them, they're actually getting married, I haven't had one person say, you know, I wish we had sex earlier. Ever. But I've had a whole lot of couples that have said, gosh, I wish we waited to have sex. I wish we waited longer than we did. So I know you're kind of looking at me maybe like I'm from outer space, but I'll tell you, and this is bigger than religion, this is bigger than just culture. This is, I would just encourage you, I've never heard anybody that has regretted waiting to push down the road physically with somebody. So anyway, that's all I'll say about that. Okay. Number 8, are we still friends? Can we still keep going? Is that okay? All right. Number 8, mistake, keeping ties with family too tight. Keeping a stranglehold emotionally with your family, or not keeping in touch with them enough. You have to find your balance. Who are you? What's your family like? But my guess is more people err on the side of, if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend or some significant other, and maybe they're still at Dominion, or they're younger, they're staying here, and you're going away, and you go home, you come here every weekend, you're going to miss out on a whole lot of stuff. There's so many experiences and friendships that are happening at college, especially those first couple months. So just be aware of that. And also call your mom from time to time, or call your dad from time to time. Like, you probably shouldn't talk to them every day. Emotionally go to college. But you probably should talk to them more than once a semester, okay? All right. Number 9, not initiating or taking risks. Not initiating or taking risks. I think this is the time for that. College is the time that you can, you're going to be away, like I said, from all your influences. And it's the time to really initiate with people. And it's a time to take some risks, not moral risks, but get out of your comfort zone and enjoy it. It's an adventure. College is an adventure, okay? The last mistake is not asking for help. Not asking for help. And in a minute, we're going to talk about anxiety. Because this is a big deal. Ask for help often and ask for it early. Don't allow challenges to become full-blown crises. Because when you go away, it can be an emotional ride, right? So, or even if you're just entering the real world, if you're even sticking around here, it's a big transition. So that's the last mistake, is not asking for help. All right, questions on these? Any questions so far?